Oh,
So I guess I'll hang out to the first commercial on camera since I'm already here.
oh yeah. Welcome back to the Coast to Coast podcast. Like,
Roll
subscribe,
that,
comment, share.
roll that beautiful bean footage. So can I
Bush's
can I
baked bean.
can I allude to next Thursday? You want to do it, Nick? I'll
No,
let you
go
do it. It's
ahead.
fine.
No,
No,
go
go.
ahead. You
No,
go.
go ahead.
What are we doing?
You go.
Oh,
One of y'all
I
do
don't
something.
even know.
You go.
I don't
3, 2, 1,
remember.
go.
You
I'm
go.
giving both y'all the knife hand.
I'm gonna let
Next
my beard. I'm
Thursday,
gonna let
something's
my.
going on, but I
I'm
have
gonna let
no
my
idea.
beard grow out for a week. He's gonna cut his off for a week.
I can't cut it off for
Oh.
just a week.
Well, yeah, you cut it off and keep it shaved for a week, and then let it grow back. That way, it's nice
Shave
and
your beard.
smooth Thursday.
Shave your beard. I want to see it. It'll grow back.
I already showed you it from back in the day.
It'll grow back, you ninny.
Yeah, it takes forever. This took forever.
You'll be fine. It's worth the wait.
It is.
We
nice.
have a. I guess you could say a Let's Get Vocal guest, huh?
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah. Special situation, actually.
Is this a returner? Returning
He's
guest?
a returner. Yeah, he's got some big news, and which we actually I think we mentioned when he was on. In fact, if you're watching or listening, and you remember, he was the very first Let's Get Vocal guest.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah, is it clicking now?
Well, I kind of knew what you were alluding to.
Okay, cool. I'm glad we're on the same page. Mr. Chip Berg's gonna come on. He's gonna. We're not really sure if he's gonna just. We'll play the song that he's about to release on the 2nd of June.
I think he should play it live.
Or we may talk him
That'd
into
be awesome.
live. We'll let him have the artistic choice. How about that?
No, we
now
will
that we
not.
can
He's gonna
now
do
that
what
we can tell him how to optimize his sound
like,
for
no,
musicians.
Nick's like, no, he's gonna. But yeah,
Nick just wants to be serenaded.
Well,
I already laid claim to him, man. He's a beautiful man.
That actually came up today too. How y'all fell all over him the first time he was on. It did.
I'm really confused as to why my shirt looks yellow. It's peach. My camera's weird.
I can't wait till Ferris listens to the episode me and Brandon did so he can describe it.
Oh.
That was
it's going to be a fun description. That one went sideways fast.
That was a not normal C2C one, was it?
No. Ferris, we've always been unscripted, but damn it, we need direction.
Nope, I'm not doing it anymore. If you notice, I haven't had any kind of spreadsheet or nothing.
I can't believe it. How does that make you feel? Because usually you're all like, I gotta have this all organized.
Hey, I'm open to going back to old things if it works, trying new things if it works, whatever. I'm open. Y'all didn't want scripted so much, so we backed off. I'm okay with that. In my personal life, I have to have script. But because we're a collective team and y'all call the final shot, I'm like, hey, cool.
You can't have script in your personal life. You don't know what's going to happen throughout the day.
I do to a point, yes.
You have it scripted for what you need to say to like your boss if he comes in the room. Well, hold on, let me get my notes.
Absolutely. You don't think about it.
Well, he don't have a boss.
Yeah.
I mean, he don't. And
that was almost like it was scripted.
I'm going to say myself.
And I going at the same time.
Unless you're talking about Linda, and he don't care about saying what he wants to Linda. I mean, that's not the same thing.
Yeah. He ain't scared.
Oh, Linda got upset with. Well, not really upset, but so yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, that whole fiasco where I was trimming out the skylights that we had put in. Well, I didn't put them in. Somebody put a skylight in the bathroom to match the one in their bedroom. Bedroom's already been trimmed out. We're doing it so it looks like the trim as close as possible to the rest of the old house. So I go to Lowe's and I get all the stuff to trim this window out. I take a picture, show her it's all done, and then when I did the other one, she was like, "Oh, it's beautiful. I just love that." So I'm waiting to hear, "Oh, I love it." I don't know how I feel about the trim. Wait, what? I didn't know we had to have, like, do we have to have trim? Like, I was kind of going, like, thinking clean. I'm like going, oh my God.
Trim is clean. That's what I said 2 days ago, and I stand by what I said 2 days ago. Trim is clean.
So I went through all that. I had to rip it all off just to make a long story short to get to the next thing because this kind of had me already on edge. So and then she wanted me. She's like, "You're gonna kill me," because then she wanted me to go to the other window I'd already done and rip all that trim off, and then go and sheetrock it and redo it a different way.
So how does
I'd
that?
be like, you owe me this amount in supplies.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. How does that work on a redo when they change it up? Do you charge them more hours for that?
Well,
Or
how it's supposed to happen, real big contractors and stuff would do it. You not only have to charge the labor for doing that, ripping it out and putting a new one in, but usually there's a change of order fee because when you initially go, this is what I'm doing, you agree to it, you sign off on it, that's what you're doing. So when you have to change that, somebody's got to rewrite that shit and say, so usually a change of order fee.
gotcha.
But that led to this thing I've been having with these sconces, the light sconces that I've been trying to get for months because I need them, especially for in the bathroom because the way it is, I got to make sure those lights, when they go in, there's a ceiling on one side that's slanted because it's up in the attic space. And I want to make sure, because this designer's measurements have not been right for a lot of things, that if I put the boxes
All of the
in,
things.
and then I mount the light ain't hitting the ceiling. I got to make sure that box is going where it goes because once I put it in and tile, it's it. And we talked one day when she came to measure cabinets, and there's others before that, but the last 3 times. Oh, well, we have them in one of our storage places. I'll get them to you. Week and a half go by, nothing. My wife messages or emails her. What about the sconces? Can we get a hold of those? Oh, so we got them ordered, and they're supposed to ship April 26th. I'm like, thinking to myself, you said you had them already. And they don't usually take on about 7 to 9 days. So I give it 2 weeks in those sconces. So we're trying to find out again. And the other day, an email came in, and you know what they said? So we talked to the manufacturer, and he's supposed to have shipped it yesterday. What happened to shipping it on the 26th of April? So it just keeps changing and changing and changing, and it's holding me up.
So now you're almost a month late just on the being shipped out.
Yeah. So I'm like telling Lynn, I'm like, oh my God. And I still be able to say something in this email. And you guys know how I am. Linda's like, I'll handle it from here on out because I'm starting to get hot with this lady. And the last thing was not good when I was talking about the tile.
Nah.
And so I did
that don't work, Ferris.
I got off. We drove home. It's like a 20-something minute or more ride home. And I'm refraining and I'm refraining. Now we're at home. I'm in the living room and I'm waiting. And apparently Linda started to email about it. And I couldn't hold my own anymore. And I said, what happened to April 26th? And I screenshotted the email from back then where it said, oh, it'll be shipped on the 26th. I sent all that. You know how I am. I can't help it. And then I sent another email. I said, you know what? I don't even want to know. Don't tell me. Linda's supposed to be handling it.
Stir in the pot. Stir in the pot.
Then Linda goes to do the email, and when she does, she's seen, because it's in the same email that I said, and she looked at me and she goes, Nicholas? As soon as I hear Nicholas, I'm like, what?
You done fucked up.
I'm sitting here doing the email. I'm going to handle it, and you frickin' emailed. I was like, I can't help it. I held out as long as I could.
Man. This man right here, y'all, he ain't got no emotional refractory period. That shit stays with him emotionally until he gets it off his chest, whether it be 5 minutes from now or 5 years from now. He gonna sit and stew.
So, yeah, things have been crazy for me too, man. I'm just so ready to be done with this job and move on. I just can't.
Well, you don't want to be at this place for the next, 3 or 4 years?
Never doing it again.
Ferris, how's things been?
Yeah. Well, he's got his mouth full of Heath. That don't sound right.
Ledger.
He's got a mouth full of Heath. Oh!
Everybody's a joker.
I heard a little gagging.
Ha 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 ha.
Oh, that's pretty good. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
Nobody really seems to have anything to say, so I'm going to bring up something that is just going to take off of the last episode we did.
Oh, shit.
I'll be lost. I have no idea.
idea.
That's fine. He'll be able to
I'm
pick
just
up what
seeing
you're
so
putting
much
down.
stuff going on in the lately. Like I'm blown
Well, this is
away.
what Brandon
Bro.
feels like then. Oh,
It's nice, isn't it, Ferris?
So did you
yeah.
see, Brandon?
Now
Did
you
you
get to
see
just
my?
react.
Did you see my thing? See, you probably didn't. You're probably too busy or sleeping.
What?
It was on the North Tonawanda page, Facebook page, where I'm at, that my
Okay.
county, Niagara County, has issued a state of emergency for our county because of the whole border crisis.
Oh, what we talked about.
So remember I told you how they're
Yeah.
like putting them into
Yeah.
schools and they're kicking in
By the
veterans out of the
way,
freaking
by the
hotels.
way, buddy, I got a little thing about that. You told me on Tuesday that they're putting them in school gymnasiums and all that kinds of stuff. Guess what I heard the next morning on the radio?
What?
They're putting them in
The
school gymnasiums and shit in New York.
Told you.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's insane.
There's a guy in his
We covered it first.
Yeah. There was a guy who's either just got married or they're about to get married. This guy and this lady. And they had a hotel. A lot of the hotels are
I
in
heard that on the
snooker.
radio
Did
show
you
I
hear
was
it?
listening to. Yep.
And their whole thing got canceled and they were like, nope, you're not in
Yep.
here. It's insanity, man. So my county stepped up
I
and
want to
said,
know if
we're
those people
issuing a
got a
state of
refund.
emergency and we don't want that crap. The hotels are not allowed to do that. They're not letting them do any of that crap.
I want to know if that couple that was getting married got a refund because they rented out like the entire hotel block, right? Like the whole freaking floor or whatever.
Yep.
I saw something where they had veterans in a hotel that got kicked out.
Yep.
That was here. There's like 3 or so hotels they did that.
Yep.
Well, why were there that many veterans in hotels? I'm just side curious. I don't know why.
I don't know why they're there.
That is a very valid and good question.
Was there like a veteran event?
But my question to
You're-
combat your question, Ferris, is who in their right mind is going to kick out a military vet to put
Nobody. That's the
someone
problem.
who crossed the border illegally there?
New
That's the
York.
problem. They're not in their right mind.
Exactly.
New York was happy to do it.
It's just insane.
At this point, New York is
Absolutely
trying to
nuts.
compete with California for the worst place on the planet.
Hey,
I seen a guy sitting on the street and he's going,
I don't take
want
offense to that.
answers." He's saying, you know, why are we trying to house, we're bringing all these guys in that are illegal, and look right next to you. Look down the street. Look at all these homeless people. They're our Americans, and we're doing nothing for them. They're sitting there in the street, and we're giving these people, like, why?
Buddy, that's been
All
a
these
topic of
people, like,
discussion for
they
like
just-
6 years, bro.
They keep ignoring it, though. You're listening, and then the people are trying to answer. They're going, you understand these poor immigrants. It's like, what about the poor guy right here?
Yep.
And they just ignore it, and they just keep belting out
That's
their
been a
bullshit.
massive topic of discussion for the last like 6-7 years, but it's been something that's been around forever. I mean, like decades, plural.
Well,
Pisses me off.
They showed a clip. I seen another clip today where they're talking to a guy who did the border back in 2000. I don't want to say because I will get the year wrong. 2019 or something. They were asking him what would be considered a crisis. He said anything just below 1,000, like if it's 800 or something, you know, we're kind of used to that. That makes sense. But when it starts to become 1,000 people crossing that border, and if you inch towards like 2, 3, 4,000, you're in a major crisis. You know how many last week per day were coming in? 10 plus thousand.
I heard that there was something like 700,000 of them just lining up ready to cross
And
the other week.
That number, I don't think that they don't even have an accurate number because so many were just scooting and getting past everything and just.
Oh, dude, the majority of them are crossing illegally.
Yeah.
While our border patrol agents are too busy with the massive influx of the folks that are trying to come in the right way. I commend them for trying to come in the right way, but for every, I mean, I won't throw a number out there because I don't want to be quoted as providing misinformation, but you got to figure for every one that comes in the correct way, how many, right? What's the X factor? How many are crossing illegally?
The majority.
Probably.
Ferris, I got a question for you because this kind of comes with when we were on that Beans, Bullets, and Band-Aids episode. Remember Wasn't it that? And we were talking about the military, and somehow martial law came up, and I told you about the lady that
I
was
love
from the
how Nick always
military.
says member instead of do you remember?
I do?
Member. Member?
That's one of
Ferris
the
says
few words that
fitting
makes them
to.
sound southern.
Ferris says fitting to. He don't even do
Fitting
the
to.
expert. Anyways, remember I talked about the TikTok of the military girl? And she was saying, if there's martial law, my gun
Yeah.
ain't just pointing at them, it's pointing that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I seen a TikTok of military walking up to the gate of the border and opening it and just letting them go in.
What?
While y'all were talking, I was thinking about that story and video actually I saw. So you got a fence, and you got the behind view of a female National Guards person, guardsman, whatever. Just one. She opens the gate, and it's just like single file coming through the gate. Right. At first, I was like, "Is this even the border? It looks like a baseball field. Like
Yeah.
the gate, the kind of fence it was a
Yeah,
chain
yeah,
link
yeah.
fence." I'm
Like chain link pedestrian fence.
are we
Yeah.
sure this isn't like they're lined up already in the United States and now they're going into a compound? I kind of think that's what it was. But the
Yeah.
story was she's from Missouri, and Texas sent National Guardsmen down there, and somebody from another state had been ordered to let them in, where Texas Guardsmen are saying hell no. So it's like it's kind of conflicting because the actual video didn't look like. I mean, the wall down there is a mixed bag of style of fencing. I get that. So it may have been, it may not
Frankenstein
have been.
together.
Yeah. So I don't know if this chain link was
I don't know
actually
if the
the
one I
border.
seen was the same thing, because this one I seen was there was a bunch of
Well,
military people letting them in. It
and
wasn't just like one person.
just to throw it out there for anybody listening, chain link fence is a joke.
Oh yeah,
A
it ain't
joke.
doing nothing,
Well,
and it's not good
it's
looking.
better than
You can cut through chain link like a hot knife through butter.
it's less
Okay.
laughable than a 30-foot wall that just stops and then there's 5 miles of open land.
Yeah.
That is true.
I mean, at least you have an actual physical barrier that says, "Hey, you may not want to come through here because there's razor wire and all that. We're protecting some. What is it? Oh, it's our country.
Well, what I
Go
said,
10 miles down, come through a gate.
I
Okay,
didn't wasn't
okay.
gonna
Right.
talk about that exact thing. It made me think of something that I want to ask you. So between that TikTok with the veteran chick saying, my gun will be pointed at you, and then it was stitched by another veteran chick that said, well, my gun's pointed at you. And then I seen this, and it made me think, even the military has their left and right,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
So when you talk
Yeah.
about if shit hits the fan here in the country, this is all hypothetical, it's just our opinions. You talk about shit hitting the fan, and then you wonder, well, whose side will the military be on? So what happens as far as that goes? Because the government will try to say military, martial law, go after our own citizens. Do you have our own military doing a civil war where military against military?
I think Brandon said it perfect with that gesture. Who knows? The way this world is right now, who knows? 5 years ago, I'd have said majority of the military would have the backs of
The people's back.
conservative fearing people.
Yep.
Okay, conservative believing and all that. Nowadays,
Who knows?
look, it's going to get so bad with simple amenities and things we take for granted, that the simplest handout is going to make people do things they never thought they would be able to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You put a crunch on our finance, the way our financials are done worldwide, and limit your ability to spend your own money, or much less make
Why are
your
you talking about things that are happening right now, Ferris?
I'm saying that's the
That's
crunch point.
actually occurring right now.
And then you as a person are limited on what you can and can't do. They got you.
So here's the thing. We already know about the whole BRICS system that the whole rest of the world is trying to, basically get into, that our wonderful United States of America is not participating in,
Well, they won't let us.
which is just going to put additional
I'll tell you that.
strain on us. Um, But also, did y'all hear about the law they're trying to put into play here within the next few weeks or so? Putting a
Which one's
cap.
that?
They want to put a cap on how much cash money you can spend, just
Where
like they
was it? I
did,
think it
just
was
like they did in Europe. They want it to be
yeah,
illegal for
in
you to
Europe.
buy anything with cash that has a value of over $1,000.
Yep.
That's right.
Because they want to track it.
That's right.
Yep.
Talk
I
about
haven't
taking away your American dream, man.
I
Well,
haven't yet ran into an issue with banking.
Oh,
And
you will.
I
I
hate that I'm
haven't either,
saying
but
that
it's
now, but
happening to some people.
it's like knock on
Knock on
wood.
wood.
I don't ever have
So
anything in there to worry about though. I get
I
paid,
do.
it's gone.
Yeah, dude, we're paycheck to paycheck here pretty much. Like when we save, it takes a couple months just to save a couple $100.
The
You
government is
know.
not faster than my bill collectors.
Right.
Well,
They got to fix that first.
so with the other thing about, okay, let me put it this way. I'm wondering how it works, and it makes me more think of how prepared we need to be leading into beans, bullets, and band-aid stuff. Because you watch movies where something like this happens, and when people are out and they're trying to get out, and they run into a store to hide out, and the store's still got stuff they can loot,
Yeah.
right? But there's so many people in this country. And look at how, like right now, there's places where they're looting Walmarts and there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So if shit hits the fan, like you see what people loot for, if it really shit hits here, they're gonna loot, man. Is there gonna even be anything left to scavenge?
Nope. Movies, they miss the mark on that, I always thought. Because someone will go into a dilapidated store, 5 years after whatever it was,
And
the
there's
end
Ooh,
stuff.
of
look, a
the end
Twinkie.
of whatever,
Yeah,
and yeah, exactly, they got a Twinkie, or oh my god, a can of beans. I've been
that ain't
starving
gonna
for a week
happen.
and a half. That ain't gonna happen, dude. When the stores get looted, they're done.
It's
They're
wiped.
done. That's why it's important for, in my opinion, and I think we said this 2 days ago as well. It's important to enter into a survival-esque type mindset where you're bringing seeds, you're growing your own food, you can figure out how to raise your own livestock and all
And
that
like we
kinds of
said,
shit.
not
And if you know
prepper,
how to do that,
not
you
the
ain't got to go
prepper
to a
shit.
grocery store.
We're talking survival.
Exactly.
Well,
Survival.
you're talking post problem, post.
No, we're talking shit already hit the fan. You grabbed your bug out bag, you got your family, and
I
you
know, I know. What I'm saying
went to
is
the spot.
you've got prepper, which is preparing before the event.
Yep.
Survivalist, which is preparing to enact whatever they're going to do after an event.
Exactly.
And they're kind of one of the same, depending on. Okay, let me back up. The show American Prepper, whatever it's called. I know y'all have seen tidbits, if not whole episodes. I watched several. I think me and
The
Nick had
thing
a
the thing
conversation
about
about this.
preppers is they'll prep to last for X amount of time. Okay. Oh,
Yes,
we've got 5 years worth of food. We'll
and
be
it depends
okay.
on
But
what
okay, what
scenario.
happens when that food runs out? That's the question. That's why I always take more of a survivalist mindset to it. Now we're gonna bring the seeds. We're gonna grow our veggies. We're gonna get get our hands on some chickens and
Well, I think
other kinds of
especially like
livestock, and we'll just
the
homestead
Y2K
it. It'll
shit,
be
when
fine.
they were all talking Y2K, when you say prepper, that whole Y2K thing gave preppers a look of like they're nuts.
Well, because nothing happened.
But yeah,
Right.
because
But
there's
so, and you still have, so
anticlimatical.
if you say I'm a survivalist, people say, okay. But if you say prepper, they think you're doot doot.
Yeah, I think you're crazy.
Well, I think the show had part to do with that too, because I'm not getting on no TV show telling my plan. Not
No,
doing it.
no,
I don't care how much
no.
money you give me. No.
We'll give
Unless
you
I need the
we'll
money
give
to
you
prep.
$50 million. No, I'm good. Y'all don't need to know what I got going on.
No, wait, no. I'll show you my plan A, but you're not going to see my plan B, C, D, and E, and F.
Not to get
No,
this
no,
$50
no.
million
conversation
For
all
50
fucked
for
up.
50 million, they're getting Plan Z.
Not to get this
No, they're
conversation
not.
thrown off, but I got to tell you something real quick before I forget. I had an idea that I wish I could do a camp if I had the machinery. You know, you talk about like bunkers and what,
Strip
and you
club?
got to dig down to do bunkers.
Yeah.
So the property I'm on, when you pull up to the front of it, it's kind of like a plateau. You go on it and it goes uphill. It's pretty steep. And then eventually it plateaus, and then all our trails are up there.
Yeah, you
Then
want to
go
dig into the mountain?
way to the back, and when you start to get to the creek, it goes right back down again. And there's spots where it's like steep, almost straight just down.
So you're thinking like a side, like
I'm thinking
ground root
go
cellar
down
thing.
flat with the damn creek, so when you look, you just see a freaking wall and just bore right into that son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Call it the dam at Otter Creek. I knew where you were going with that. You want to do a little hobbit hole.
That's it.
It'd be a lot
You best
easier
get
than
to
just
you
trying
best
to
get
dig
that
down.
shovel and start digging, son.
Yeah, but don't you think if you had to, wouldn't it be easier to bore in than trying to dig down?
Yeah, you ever seen the that cartoon movie where they go to like Atlantis? Michael J. Fox, I think, voices one of the guys. They got the mole dude that drives the big old drill freaking car, and he's like just drilling through the mountains and stuff. That's what you need. You need that vehicle.
When you're talking about, I think we talked about this, but when you're talking about what you need, why you need it, and all that, it's the why that motivates us to find the what and collect the what. So back up and say, okay, let's say it's a nuclear thing, way upstate, around your neck of the woods, Nick. You're dead. I'm sorry, but me and Brandon.
Well, fuck.
I'm just giving an example.
Hey,
why
me
am I
and
dead?
Brandon.
Hey,
because you are. I mean, there's a
because you got hit first. You got caught with your pants down.
If me and Brandon believe that's possible in peacetime, non-event time, then we'll prepare for that. We'll have to spend the extra money for detectors or masks or radiation proof, this, that, and the other, whatever. I'm not going to get all the details of it, but I'm not an expert at all. But if we believe that it's an EMP strike, you prepare totally differently. If we believe it's going to be civil unrest due to political bullshit, and then causes a economical collapse, you prepare differently. But the end game is all the same. You still need the three things. So it's a matter of whether you do it now or you get into an emergency survival mode and like, I've got 4 cans of beans and a loaf of bread in the refrigerator. I've got to go hunting or I've got to go fishing. If you know how to do that stuff, you can do what Brandon was talking about and survive.
Yep.
You either know how to prep or you know how to survive, or both. If you know how to do both, I want your address because I'm going to go hang out with you. Okay.
Right. We need to be friends.
Because I can survive, but I have done nothing to prep.
I can survive, and I've done the minimal amount to prep. Let's just put it that way.
Or have I?
Nah, well, I'll be truthful. I've done the minimal amount to prep, but I know how to survive. My wife keeps wanting me to go on that damn show alone. She's like, you need to go on there. You could win that thing. Yeah, no.
She just
I like my cigarettes, and I'm not giving those up to win, a measly $500,000. That ain't enough. I'm sorry. You give me a $50 million prize, and I'll go on there because I could retire with that.
He had a flash of Forrest Gump just then.
Just saying. Bit me in my buttocks.
I had a question. I can't remember what it was. I thought about it today.
I did too, and it just disappeared on my head.
I was going to ask you fine fellas. What was it?
At least I had 2 things.
It'll come to me. Do it, Nick.
I had 2 things. When you guys were talking, it kept making me think of stuff, and then now it's gone.
You need a notepad. I've been saying that.
Yeah, you got to write shit down, man.
Because when you say it, you remember it? It's really interesting. We want to know. Then you leave us hanging. It's like
interesting.
Start using the dang old chat when you get an idea. Just type it in there super fast. Just a bullet point. Just a little bullet point.
Yeah, if you want to ask if we prefer like stocking up chickens or beef, just put in nugget. And it'll remind you.
Nugget.
Speaking of meats, we have the meats. Why don't you tell what you saw there, Nick? Or did y'all talk about this Tuesday?
Oh, that Louisiana thing?
I love me some Arby's. I want Arby's now.
Nick made the breaking story, so I'm going to let him talk about it.
Well, it's kind of funny. What was the conversation we were just having when we were on the phone with everybody? And somebody said something about wanting Arby's.
I love Arby's.
I did.
Arby's
Once you made it, once you brought it back up, I said, "Man, I kind of want Arby's now."
Yeah,
All about the sauce.
Well, the Arby's in Louisiana, they stored them dead bodies in the freezers.
That's crazy.
It was one person suspect, or was it more than one?
The article he sent, it was one person found.
Yeah, an employee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I don't know, for the record, I don't know which one they were talking about, and I am from central Louisiana, but I have no idea. We probably have at least 20 of them across the state.
Oh, dude, I got to drive a good 45 minutes to get to an Arby's.
Yeah, we have one in my town, but
Sucks.
I've only been there once. I like Arby's, and
I love Arby's.
I just don't really go that much.
They got the meat.
Well, our Arby's is really close to a sushi place. And I'm
Oh,
like,
I love me some sushi. I thought you were going to say Chick-fil-A for a second, and I was going to say there's no comparing Arby's to a Chick-fil-A. Arby's wins hands down. Chick-fil-A's garbage.
Chick-fil-A ain't garbage.
Chick-fil-A's garbage.
I disagree.
Chick-fil-A's garbage. The only good thing they got is sauce.
A wholesome Christian company like that.
They are wholesome Christian.
The only thing they got going for them is their sauce. Every time I've gone there for a meal,
people say the same thing about Cane's, and I can't stand their sauce.
What I say about
I don't know anything about Cane's.
Chick-fil-A, I can
never
eat
heard
it,
of it.
But it's not like a holy crap, I gotta have that. It's it's not bad. It's just not special.
Every time I've been to Chick-fil-A, because I believe in giving multiple chances, so I've tried multiple locations and I've gotten something different each time. It's been dry, it's been overcooked, it's been cold,
dude.
It's been garbage.
We don't even
Chick-fil-A sucks.
You don't get to say anything because you're in California. That's just like you have never been to a Five Guys that's any good.
I was at a good Five Guys in Arizona. What are you talking about? Our Five Guys here sucks, but the one in Arizona was bomb.
What I said you can't talk about when it's in California.
You ever been to In-N-Out Burger? You ever been to In-N-Out Burger? It's
have
overrated.
In North Carolina.
Never heard of it.
It's overrated. It's not that great.
What about Firehouse Subs? Y'all have those?
Yes.
Do we have a Firehouse?
Firehouse Subs.
I'm thinking of a different one.
Here's a question. Since Ferris said I was dead.
Okay, so Nick's dead. Nick's dead.
All right, Brandon, how you been?
It is the fan, but it's not like what's going on in our country. It's actual war makes it this way.
Okay. Well, no, in Ferris's scenario, you had a nuke dropped on you.
Yeah. So
you can't even the three of us has to worry the first? Because, yeah, I'm in New York, but I'm nowhere near New York City, which is what they're going to want to hit. But Brandon's also in California, which wants to be blown up, and he's closer to Russia than we are.
Wants to be? Did you say wants to be?
Yeah.
It's like California's like, we'll go first.
But then you got Ferris, because where Ferris is at, he'll flood in a freaking split second.
I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about the military bases close to me.
All I'm going to say is first things first. Ferris, Nick is dead, so let's change the subject.
I'm not dead. No. Seriously.
What would be the first thing we would do? Ferris and I would probably log into a Zoom and record an episode about it.
I don't know where the first place will be hit, but if it had to do, if we all stayed right where we're at when it started happening, which one of us would be affected for who would be either bad something or close to bad?
I'm gonna pull up Brandon because it depends on where it's coming from, like who's causing it. Because if it's like communist, liberal, I'm naming a few.
California is the closest to all them people.
Yeah, but they're not going to take.
That don't matter. That don't matter. You also got to remember that the Californians out here, Nick. Yes, I said that right. Californians, right, are the ones that are most easily controlled by the governments. And if a new government is going to nuke the current government and then come over and take over, who's going to be the first Joe Schmoes to go, okay, we'll do it your way? The freaking Californians. And then you've got the, redneck conservative folk like me that are going to fuck you. So I think I'm pretty safe, dude, in that situation, if that's what you're going after.
Nick, that's actually a really tough, wide open question. It requires the same in an answer. I mean, it depends on the scenario.
I know, but
I will say,
here's the thing. I looked up a map and it showed like the places they would definitely hit, and it's usually like military compounds or their supply facilities and shit like that.
You have to
I
look
will
at
say
it.
this.
They
It's a
don't
risk
really
assessment.
tell you like what would likely be first, second, third. So who is?
I will say this. My commute to work, I've shared many a times, is about an hour when I'm battling commuter traffic, but it's only 37 miles from the city that I have to commute to. And I don't know if I've said which city that I commute to or not, but for this situation, I'm not. I'm just going to say it's a major city. Okay. So if they dropped a nuke for whatever reason on said major city, oh, dude, I'm out. I'm only 37 miles away. We're done. I ain't even gonna feel it. So I ain't worried about
I ain't
that.
gonna feel it.
I don't ever worry about that. Like if that were to happen, it'd be boom, instantaneous and hi God, how you been? Like how's your mom and them?
Wait. I didn't fix that little problem. Can I get a mulligan real quick?
Right. Just send me back. I got one thing to do.
I need to fix something. I need to clear my phone out.
What's the closest thing to you, Ferris, that's something you think they would blow it up or something?
Fort Polk.
Fort Polk?
And then Barksdale.
And how
Well,
far?
Fort Polk is major.
Yeah.
How far
I
is
mean,
it
we
from
got
you?
13 miles, 14
Oh, you're
miles.
dead. You're
And
dead.
then Barksdale Air Force Base in Bossier is an hour and 45 minutes away. Then I got Fort Hood, west of me in Texas. I mean, look,
You're screwed.
but that's the thing: are military bases on U.S. soil really going to be a target?
Yeah.
Not right off the bat.
Well,
Not on the initial
That's
strike.
not a weak spot.
Well,
Probably
It
not
is
on
a
the
spot.
initial
not
strike.
necessarily the actual bases, but like that's why I'm worried about my kids because they're in Colorado. In Colorado, the mountains in Colorado Springs specifically. Colorado Springs in the mountain. There's a gigantic freaking military depot.
I'm pretty sure,
and it's on the map to get blown up.
I'm not college educated, and my research techniques and style is lacking sometimes. But my chair won't work. That's why I want to be college educated.
Nick, what's the closest thing to you? Ferris shared Fort Polk's only 13 miles or whatever. Nick, if you give us a major location, then I'll say what my quote unquote big city is. And because the reason why is I'm thinking about it now, and I'm pretty sure my quote unquote metropolitan area is probably going to be more likely to receive a strike than either of y'all's locations.
Based on what? What's the criteria?
I'll tell you after we hear his landmark.
It ain't military for me.
It doesn't have to be military, dude. It's just got to be, the
saying.
closest major landmark or whatever that could potentially be a target.
I'm just outside of Buffalo, but Buffalo is not marked as something that somebody would bother blowing up. There's nothing. The only thing I can think of, but I looked it up and it's not even on the list. Because when the war started happening, I was looking up who would be likely to get blown up or something, and that's where I found out like where my kids are and whatnot.
That's probably
said, wait a minute,
knock on your door.
Here,
yeah, right.
North of me, maybe 20 minutes, there's a huge power plant called Mohawk. But believe it or not, we don't even get the power from it. It's right down the road, but they ship that power out to other states. We don't even get it.
Yeah,
Niagara Mohawk.
That's possibly
we always thought that something like that is going to get kablooied. And that's what I was thinking.
Kablooied.
That's
just
the
way
he
said it, dude.
That is just an extra word, period.
Yeah.
Kablooied.
It's the dictionary.
Oh my God.
When I was looking this stuff up, I immediately said like that stuff and nothing. It doesn't. It just nothing around me is on the list.
That was my point earlier. Military bases aren't necessarily. It's going to be utilities. It's going to be lifelines. It's going to be a disruption process. So that,
but
it'll
be.
You think it might possibly be major governmental institutions?
I think they'll hit like the damn
They're going to hit.
Oh my God, I lost the word.
They're going to hit government institutions that are what's the word? Hey, look over here. Don't look over here because this is doing. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be that.
You ready?
Kind of
You ready for
situation.
this? You ready for this?
I do think they'll hit the military stockpiles. Why
The
wouldn't you?
the city that I commute to every day for work, our state capital is located in that city.
Oh,
I didn't
I'm
do that.
fucked.
no,
We're
no.
vulnerable.
You
What?
sure you don't want to at least move a little further away?
It's only 37 miles,
He's like, camp is open. Camp is
right?
open.
When I looked at the
Oh,
map, there's nothing close enough. I could get hurt a little bit, maybe. I might get radiation a little bit, but there's nothing close enough.
okay. I want y'all to think about this scenario. What happens when another entity, let's just say for
Ooh,
theoretical sense.
capital's only 28 miles
Oh,
from me
Oh yeah, you're
right now.
bad.
I'll,
toast.
like I said, I ain't gonna feel it. I'm sorry, Ferris. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're Sarah Connor on T2 hanging on the fence.
Right in the
He's
dream.
not even. If it's a nuke, he's not even. There's nothing left of him.
Nope.
Yeah. I don't
What's
think that's gonna happen.
what's the blast radius on those? It's like 50 miles or something like
It's
that.
big.
It
Yeah.
depends on the megaton. Depends on what it is. I mean, you could have a precise nuke bomb and only go like
Yeah.
50 miles or 100
Yeah.
miles. They're very
But have
precise.
you heard that they're no
But your
longer?
fallout is the problem.
They're not as worried about a direct land hit anymore of nuke. They're worried about them using it to create tsunamis.
I did hear something about that. Yeah,
They're
dropping them
talking
in the
about how they
ocean.
were putting
That's
submarines
see
in
now
the ocean.
y'all are
Yep.
going around the long way, just trying to and actually coming into the things that I think are happening or going to happen. No country wants the blame for starting the end of the world.
Nope.
Okay. And it's not going to be the end of the world. It's going to be progressive. We're talking years of suffering.
You two forgive me, but I think North Korea does.
Do what?
North Korea does. I did it.
Dude,
We got the
edit it.
power.
They would.
You gotta edit that out now. You dog.
Or you'll be eating a bomb tomorrow because they've got the capability. Wait, no, they
hey,
don't.
you're
Never
the
mind.
closest, Nick.
A toddler's gonna blow us up.
But
Kim Jong Un is
you
gonna
gotta
see
look
this
at
episode and go, "I gotta
as a
find that guy."
He looks like a little kid. Anyway,
you have to look at it as a domino effect. Okay, more of a conspiracy domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
Person does A, causes other person to be B, some other person does C, and you don't know from A to Z how it's all connected, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
like we don't know who
That's
blew up
basically
the
what,
damn Nord Stream.
correct.
Damn it, Nick!
All right.
Why you gotta say all?
Honestly, I'm thinking it's gonna be a financial downfall. I've been saying that for a decade.
Oh yeah.
And people are going to be poor. They're going to be wanting. They're going to be needy. Government's going to go, here you go.
Yep.
Whatever that is, call it the
But
bark of
that's
the
even
beast.
more reason for the war to happen because it makes money.
There won't be a war. The worst anything. Okay, the worst kind of war is one where a bullet's not even fired.
Yep.
Because you don't know what's coming.
Yep.
You're fooled. You're
Yeah, but
naive. You don't know it. If I'm going to be
You've
threatened,
I
been
don't know that
watching
there
what
ain't gonna
they've
be a
been
war.
putting out over here while they've
Right.
been working on the plan over here, like what Ferris said earlier.
if it is possible to have a all out war, but let's be honest, the idiots running this world right now, they can't keep their finger off the freaking button, and it's gonna be over. And that's not the way we're supposed to go down.
Yep.
2/3 of the population is supposed to be wiped out, right? Biblically, 2/3, something like that. Is that right?
Yeah,
Trying to remember.
Like that.
So
One
yeah,
third,
that's
two-thirds.
a major thing,
Mhm.
but I don't think that's nuclear. If one bomb goes off, it's a chain reaction.
Yep.
You're gonna lose a whole lot more than 2/3.
Oh yeah.
That's why I kind of rule that out. It's a matter of
I
mathematics.
mean, unless you want to
common
move
sense.
yourself to Madagascar or something.
But bringing it back down to more regional, like Nick was asking, likelihood risk assessment, you have to figure out in your area what would really damage the population
Mhm.
without. Look, let's say China. How you doing, China?
You want to know something crazy? Not only do I have the state capital, now I know it's only 28 miles away. There's also a I'm not sure if it's in business anymore or not, but there's a nuclear power plant that's also within that distance as well.
Yeesh.
And you don't need a bomb. You don't need a
I
nuclear
would
bomb to take that
not
out.
live there.
Nope.
No.
Nope. And that one I think is less. That one's probably maybe somewhere between 19 and 22 miles.
You know what's
I'd
funny?
get there quick.
I'm surprised that a big hit wouldn't be farmlands, just wiping out farmlands, because it would get rid of so much of our food.
See, now you're thinking. I
Mhm.
mean, they don't. Any country that would attack us, bar any kind of feud, that's all they care about, right? They don't like you, like anybody in the East. Put it that way. I mean, a lot of people leave. But if they're wanting our land, our resources, what we have, why would they destroy it?
They wouldn't. They would destroy the distribution.
Right, they would destroy it from the inside out, so that when they took it over,
They would destroy the
infrastructure.
infrastructure. They would destroy the infrastructure that gets our goods and services
And
from
you
And the
don't, and
people
you
that
don't,
are using it.
and you don't want to wipe out people, because that's
Why
your
not?
labor, that's your resource to get the job done at the end of the day, after the fact. I mean, at the end
Well,
of the
and the problem, if y'all remember, just a year or two ago, is we already had and are still suffering the ramifications from the supply shortage. Remember when they had all them thousands and thousands of cargo ships just sitting off the coasts for however many weeks or months or whatever it was? It can already be done.
a lot of special memes off of that event.
Just saying.
You know what's funny? Is when we started this whole thing, I was a guy that didn't want to know shit.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't interested in news. And I was
I
like, we
remember
are
that.
not talking about this shit on this podcast.
I remember that. If it wasn't for COVID,
Here we are 2 episodes in a row, and who's starting the shit on here?
if it wasn't for COVID, you would have never really gotten into it, I don't think.
Nope.
Probably not.
Speaking of that, COVID actually caused a lot of positive chain reactions in the last 3 years.
I'm just happy that the federal government finally ended all emergency procedures and blah, 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 blah. And they're not tracking anything anymore except a like 100% definitive death.
And those that speak out about COVID.
I still have a little bit of a freak out, because now when I see people who have masks, because so few are wearing them, it makes you go, are they sick? I'm working. I go outside because I go to my truck for something today, and the mailman was walking up, and he had a mask on. I'm like, what the fuck?
So what are these good things that came out of it, Ferris?
Well, first of all, eye-opening. Lots of eye-opening going on. And that's really the catalyst of it.
For sure, yeah.
Not enough,
and
though.
then you start to see for example, the letter that I copied from the guy on TikTok to send to my representative.
Did you send that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did I read the response?
Oh, you got a response?
I did. I'll have to find it.
No, I ain't heard the response.
It said, fuck you, Ferris.
It was basically, yes, it basically did. It basically like, well, we have our constituents' best interest at heart, and we're going to do what we have to, and we appreciate you. Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah, bullshit.
It wasn't nothing special.
You got my best interest at heart. Come over for dinner, sunshine. Let's have us a fucking chat.
Yeah, it's. I saw a TikTok video today, and by the way, I've gone from quietly saying I research things on TikTok when it comes up to kind of make sure it's truthful or whatever, to that's my new news channel. I'm sorry. TikTok is it. Okay, because it's the only social media that is telling things like what's going on in France. Okay. The one social media outlet platform that is the least amount censored, owned by China, ran by China, we know this, period, is my media source. Period. Because it's not media, it's people, it's you, it's you, it's me, it's next door neighbor, it's
exactly.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask y'all.
And every time that we've researched it on Google and YouTube and all the other platforms that we can possibly utilize from the internet, I would say 85% of the time, 90% of the time, it's been true, if not more.
I've got a wrap up topic I want to ask y'all.
Good, because we got to wrap up. I'm tired. I got to go to bed.
Well, man, I was just getting into this shit, man.
Just getting into it.
Too bad. You got work tomorrow, buddy.
So, separation of church and state.
Oh, good Lord.
Listen. No,
Nick and I, hang on. Nick and I talked about this ad nauseum after we finished recording on Tuesday. Dude, we stayed on for like 3 hours.
We kept
And
having the one more cigarette again.
Yeah. And like legit, like we would be on for 45 minutes. It would cut us off. We'd rejoin.
Right,
we did that 4 or 5 times, dude. And
So
we
here's
discussed this. We got deep. Let's go.
well, good. If you're ready, then good. Because I haven't really thought about my answer, but I wanted.
We did find out that Brandon and I think even more alike than we thought we did because he kept saying shit, and I was like, "Yes, that's what I've been saying for 13 years." It was pretty.
So
crazy.
with that topic in mind, for a while now, I've heard the left complaining about preachers politicking from the pulpit, right? Mixing in. Okay.
Yep.
And it's 99% of the time. It's,
but they've been doing that for decades.
Well, I'm not talking about the present. I'm just talking about the present, right? But I
like present.
Most of them are conservative, right wing, ideological topics that they're bringing up at the pulpit, right?
Okay.
We already know about don't put the religion in school or in the courthouses and all that. Even though our country was founded on "In God We Trust," whatever. Fine, take it out. Okay, take the Bible out of school. We did that for decades. I don't believe that.
Yeah, we're not supposed to do that though.
I have started to see this is about the third one today, where the preacher or minister or whatever behind the pulpit was actually speaking liberal, Democrat ideological topics and viewpoints. And
they had to be interesting.
Like what?
And well, they were the opposite of what conservatism ideals are, right? Just
was it a Catholic priest?
He was all over the place. My question is, forget about the hypocrisy of that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and the person that posted this third one was definitely on the left side of things, which is fine. Whatever, that to each his own. But that's the same person that would go to a conservative preacher and say, you need to take politics out of the church. You're not a true Christian if you can't separate. That's the same thing. It's doing the same thing. So here's the question, which is worse? Politics in religion or religion in politics? Or you can replace politics with government if you want to, but it's basically the same thing. We don't have a government, we have politics now.
Which is worse?
Politics
in church? Or what was the other one?
Or church in government, basically. I mean, it's like I said, government is also politics.
I'm going with politics in church.
I would say that politics in church would be worse too, because if God were to be with the politicians, that would be a blessing. They need Jesus.
God needs to be in the politics. That's where everything's going to shit.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
If he were to be put back into politics, shit might actually start turning around.
I don't know that church should talk politics. Let's focus on our Lord. But what I feel like is with everything going on today, it's getting harder for them to not say, do you see what's going on? It's kind of hard for them to not talk about it.
Well, their job is to use current situations to preach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll
but I don't think what's going on in politics and government is necessarily the best avenue.
I don't know if
it's
immoral, then it's a perfect opportunity for a preacher to say, hey, this is immoral. This is a good example. You know, we don't want nudity in books for.
Well, that's the thing. What I'm seeing, they're not. When the politics in the church I'm seeing ain't, Biden shouldn't have wrote that bill. They're talking about the damn stuff that's happening, like children and the train, all that stuff.
So basically, a preacher could go to a civil meeting, what do you call it?
Like city council meeting
and preach there about the politics, about the immoral thing going on, but they shouldn't do it at the pulpit.
Pretty much.
That's
how I feel. That's how I feel.
I don't know. I think it's deeper than that, and I'm not saying either way. But
I'm not saying they can't have a conversation with somebody about it. By all means, at the end of the day, they're a human being. However, when I go to work, right, and I go to do my job, I got to leave whatever's going on with politics out of it. So, for example, part of my job is, how do I want to put this? Health and safety code. Okay. So everybody who's been watching our show everybody who follows me on TikTok, everybody knows how I feel about the last few years and the Rona, COVID, pandemic, whatever title you want to give it, right? Everybody knows my standpoint. But when I'm at work, guess what I have to enforce? I have to enforce, hey, we got a masking requirement, pull it up over your nose. I have to separate myself from how I feel politically about it or even religiously about it, because I got my religious exemption for the old Fauci ouchie, right? And I have to put on that face, and I have to not only respect those guidelines, but I have to enforce those guidelines, and I even have to help come up with some of the guidelines. You know how I feel about that, but I separate that from work, because when I'm at work, I'm there to do a job. Same thing with a preacher at the pulpit. Separate yourself from that. It doesn't belong there.
I don't. It may not belong, but I don't think it's possible. And I say that because
if I can do it, they can do it.
No,
y'all know how
Hear me out.
how vocal I've been. How many episodes have been torn down off the tubes of you because of yours
But
truly?
see, your job is not to save people by informing them. Like
you mean save their souls?
Yeah, I'm being a little facetious.
Yeah.
That's their job. Like, their job is to preach the gospel and whatever. If, let's say, for example, we all know Nick's got a problem with a neighbor. We know that. His inner circle knows that. People that's watched the show knows that.
Yeah.
So let's say there's 100 people that kind of knows that inside information. And if I were to get up here and make a comment, we were already joking about something, and I say, yeah, like Nick's neighbor. All right. And all of a sudden, that's become a political issue, a civil issue between him and his neighbor that I made a joke about. Therefore, I bring it up in a setting that we're in. If a preacher were to say, we'll be preaching along about something out of the Bible and uses nudity exposed to, or nudity accessible to third graders, is a good example. Y'all know what's going on. He doesn't talk about it, but he brings it up. All of a sudden, he's brought in politics because that's what's behind the scenes with that topic. Not that he brought that topic up and got into the weeds of it. And then somebody that hears that, you don't need to be putting politics in the church. That's what I'm talking about. You can use it as an example, and then he gets blown out of proportion. Same thing in the government side. If there's a
in that case, if he's just using it as a talking point to prove a point, and he's not actually, or she is not diving deep into the material behind the subject matter, they're not going down that rabbit hole while in front of the congregation, that's totally different. That's fine.
Yeah,
I have no problem with that. If they're preaching the word of God, and they say, to put that into perspective, think about X that's going on right now, and then boom, they're done talking about X and they're right back to what they're supposed to be doing, I'm okay with that, because that adds perspective for people, right?
well, and
that puts it into a that makes it visible in the mind's eye.
It gives it a,
so to speak. They can relate
area.
to it.
Yeah,
it gives it acceptable gray
But
area.
if he's going down that rabbit hole and he's up there and he's talking about what's going on left versus right for 20 minutes, dude, shut up, do your job.
But if perception is 9/10 of the confusion that causes the hypocrisy to begin with, somebody, a third party, watching or listening to this sermon, or watching this politician talk about God and blessings and all that, and they don't like that, they don't understand that there will never be total separation of the two, based on the fact that we are founded on principles of the Bible as a nation. Okay,
well,
and it's never going to happen.
And not to forget that even to this day, people's beliefs in a higher power have been used politically by the media, this and that and the other, right? It still exists to this day, so it's always going to be a relevant topic.
Yeah.
No matter where you're at.
Political is always power. Anything you do, I don't care what it is.
Absolutely.
Anything you do, if you do it in the sense of you want to become powerful, it becomes political. Something interesting. And now talk about this also makes it a double interesting.
We'll be the
One,
judge of that.
do you notice how, as they're trying to pull Christians
Double
out,
interesting.
and they don't want God and everything and all stuff, you don't hear them saying, "Get as in God we trust" off the dollar, do you? That's still there, and they sit there and use that money. But speaking of the dollar, I've seen an interesting TikTok, and you guys tell me what you think. So this guy said, all these years, and I never noticed this before. He's kind of blown away by it, but I don't know if it really means anything or not. And he had the 1, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 30, and I think the 50. And he's going, now look at this. And he shows the back of the bill and then the front and each of the dang, am I letting you in during the podcast? And each one of the bills and the president. And he says, do you notice something? And he's pointing at the flags on the back of the bills. And he said, all the bills, all these presidents on these bills all had slaves. And they have flags. They have the flag on the White House or the flag on the eagle. One bill don't have any flag or anything on it. And no U.S. flag on it. And it's the 5 with Lincoln who abolished slavery. There's no American flag on that bill.
Really?
Hmm.
I did not know
Kind
that.
of interesting. Oh no, that's coincidence or coincidental or what?
I did not know that. So you learn something new every day.
I just learned that today.
Now I got to go find a $5 bill, but I don't carry cash, so that's going to be hard to do.
Yeah.
So on the one for the Washington, there's an eagle on the right side of the back dollar, and it's got like a flag in it. It's more of a shield with the flag on it, but it's a flag.
Yeah.
All the other ones, it shows like the White House and the flag on the top of the White House, and then there's flags on each side of it. But then you go to that $5 bill, there's no flag anywhere.
I'm surprised they haven't changed the name of that house. To be honest with you.
Right? Why is it?
I mean,
I'm surprised they don't make it painted
Smart
a
ass.
color. That'll be the next thing. Paint the White House.
Paint it what? Paint it pink.
well, if we keep letting, I'm not gonna say that because it's not all one nationalities coming in here, but I'll leave it alone.
Oh, that reminds me of something I was going to say. When you guys were talking about the
great.
people coming in, a lot of them aren't even Mexicans and stuff. There was one group that came in, and I seen this.
Can we say Hispanic?
However you
I
want
knew
to
you
say
were going to say that, Ferris. I knew you were going to say that.
Regardless, listen.
He said guard. There's no guard down there. Oh, never mind.
This one group came in, and they were sitting there and asking them where they were from. And in
Russia.
that group had 8 people from 8 different countries in it, like Brazil, like 8 different countries those people were from.
Yeah.
It makes you.
A lot of them weren't even South America or any of that. They were from.
The American dream. The American dream has been the American dream for so long that all these folks still want to come here and partake in the quote unquote American dream because they're under this ideology that once they get in here and once things turn around and essentially get back to normal, if they can get through undetected, that they'll be able to live that American dream that they've heard about their entire lives, not knowing that this is actually the downfall of that dream and it's going to be its fucking demise.
Oh, yeah.
America is the same as Marty McFly going back to the future after the almanac was stolen. Everything changed. It was crappy. And that's what we got to figure out a way to tell these immigrants, look, turn around, go back because it ain't the same.
It ain't, and it might be better than where they're coming from now. And I feel for them in that aspect. I can empathize with them in that aspect. I really can. But you give it another 10 years, if it continues spiraling out of control and going through this downward progression that we've been seeing over the last, I'm just going to use the last 3 years as an example, you can imagine how bad it's going to get and where it's going to go. And that's why it was so important for us to have that episode 2 days ago where we talked about, are you a prepper or are you a survivor? Yeah. Are you planning for a shit hit the fan scenario? Ferris, I actually got those divinity rods out 2 days ago on Tuesday. I ain't touched them. I did. I ain't touched them. I ain't touched them since I got them out on the podcast the first time, dude. And I asked, And I asked, I said, in our lifetime, mine and Nick's, it are we gonna, encounter a shit hit the fan scenario like what we've been discussing on the podcast?
It's a, yeah.
First I said, is it gonna happen in the next year? And it said no. I said, is it gonna happen in our lifetimes? Yes. Is it gonna happen within the next like 5, 6 years? Yes. So now we've got a timeline that we can sit and we can analyze and we can study and we can see if that actually comes true or not. And then that'll tell us whether or not those divinity rods are, real or bullshit, but that's still 5 years away.
Look, I just needed to wait till at least after 2026. I mean, that way I could be out of debt.
Well, it won't matter if you're in debt if this shit
Fair
happens. Quick question.
No, it might.
Quick question. Because you brought up how, people come from countries where there's problems. That's why they're getting out. So, they talk about we don't want to go. Why are we helping so many countries? Let's stay out of their stuff. But in this
we can't even help ourselves.
Yeah, but listen, in this scenario, would you rather these people be flooding in like they are and we can't handle it? Or would you rather we go to where they're coming from and just fucking help them and straighten their own shit out so they can stay there?
I think
I would rather. Sorry, go ahead, Ferris.
I was gonna say I think that's a dead horse. The second option, going into the country and trying to take it's because we don't have honest people in office. They see alternative motives when they get over there, and it's like the whole humanitarian idea, the goal is now whitewashed because of the corruption. Whether it's because
I get that when you look at it in the essence, but when you compare it to whether it's that or all these people coming in and the issue we have,
you can't.
I'll put it to you this way. We were in Afghanistan for what, 20 plus years?
Yeah.
And all of the hard work that was put in to turn around, we helped them establish a democracy. They had a president, this and that and the other. The second we pull out within 24 hours, what happened? 100% collapse.
Well,
right?
They gave it over to the freaking. No, I'm gonna say it.
So I'm with Ferris on that. It's a dead horse, and it would be a complete and utter disaster and a waste of our resources to go to these other countries and do that, because the second we pull out, what's going to happen? We've already seen what happened in Afghanistan. History is going to repeat itself. So what I would suggest is that we focus on ourselves first, figure out how we're going to continue to provide and protect the individuals that protected and provided for us. Yes, I'm referring to the homeless vets, and figure out a way to where we don't kick them out of a place to house illegal immigrants or refugees or whatever you want to call them by the droves, right? If we can get every single homeless person off the streets in America, then we have done something that the rest of the world would have never accomplished in the entire existence of the rest of the world. It would be a first in world history. But that would be awesome. If we could do that, then maybe we can think about helping out other folks. But we can't even take care of ourselves right now.
Still doesn't answer my question.
I'll answer your question. I would rather have immigrants coming in. And I'm saying immigrants very loosely. Okay. We know that some are just poured over.
I don't want to cut you off, Ferris, but Brandon, remember I told you the other day about the spider thing?
Yeah.
It just happened again. I swore I seen it right out the corner of my eye across the street, and it's not there.
We need to tell Charlotte we're in the middle of recording an episode, so tell her to back off. Honestly, I would rather have immigration the way it's happening right now happen than go over to another freaking country and try to get them out of a bind that they caused. We should not be involved in their religious, political, or any of that right now. Because what Brandon said, we need to help ourselves first.
With them coming in here, you're still involved with their stuff because they come in here. Then they start saying, "But my religious values," and then we got.
There's ways to compartmental. I'm trying to stay away from social status because that's what's going to end up happening, and I hate that. But there's ways to compartmentalize how you allow these immigrants to come in systematically, right?
Oh yeah, streamlining. If they were doing that, I would agree with you. But I'm going by what is happening, not the hypothetical if they would. I'm talking about what is actually happening.
I would say,
For
look,
me,
you want in, you want a 5-year visa to get your stuff together and become a citizen, then give up a cartel. You know, I'm again being facetious, but there's a price. I was born in the United States. I've had to pay my entire life to whatever it is I'm supposed to pay. And I said that because I didn't start working until I was 16, but I was paying taxes at that point until now, and I will till I die. But my parents paid taxes. It took money away from us. It took resources away from us. So I have paid my entire life. Most of these people have, I mean, yes, they've had a rough life, and I'm probably way better than them, but we can't help that you were born in the United States. I was born in the United States. He was born in the United States. That's just the way it happened. I want to know why, let's just say Mexico, for example. I want to know why they're letting their labor force leave. Why are they not heading the charge at the border, keeping them in, and say, no, we're going to improve? They don't want to. I don't know the
No,
reason
they
is.
because it's all corrupt and they're getting payback from the cartels and all that other kinds of shit.
Not only
Well,
that,
eventually they're going to have a country not worth governing.
not only that,
Yeah.
but their people that come here to work are sending a lot of their money back into that country.
Yep.
They come here and then
That's
they send
how
that
it's
money
been.
back to their families.
That's how it's been. But when you see droves of families coming over, who are they going to send the money to? There's nobody left in those countries to send money to. They're all coming over at the same time. It used to be able-bodied laborers coming over to work, send their money home.
Well, here's another facet to this scenario too. With the whole rest of the world changing their banking system and us refusing to, pretty soon our dollar ain't gonna mean fucking shit anyway. So all these people that are coming over here, it's gonna end up being a loss for them
But they're not coming
because
over here to make
our money's gonna be worthless.
I don't think they're coming over here to make a living. They come over here to live and get handouts. That's what they're coming over. That's what most people are concerned. That's what people that are concerned about this are concerned about.
They had
It's that
phones activated and ready for these guys when they came over. Here you go. Here's your
Yeah.
Oh,
phone.
I know.
But look, that's no different than seeing
They're also getting free education. They're getting free housing. They're getting all this kinds of shit.
I've
Right?
said this back when this shit was happening.
Shit that we have to pay for.
When this shit started happening, like bad, like it's always been happening, but a few years ago, I said it, and I've heard people say it since. My situation, I would be better off to leave the country, deny my citizenship, become not here no more, and then come back in illegally.
Oh, that's been a running joke with numerous amounts of politicians as well.
Yeah, I've been saying that
Currently.
for years now.
Currently. The last thing I'm going to say about it is this. For the ones who are coming over in pursuit of that American dream, I would like to think that they're on our side, right? So when shit hits the fan, if they're on our side, I'm okay with it. In the situation that we're currently facing, to answer your question definitively, Nick, I would much rather have us endure what's happening right now versus all of a sudden our elites, if you will, saying, hey, we're going to go over here and provide resources. We've seen how that's happened and how that's been going down in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the media likes to say one thing, but in reality, it's actually not working. If you do the research, if you really dig deep, if you go down that rabbit hole and you put forth some effort to find the actual truth, you will discover that what they're saying is occurring. It's not making any kind of change. There's something to the tune of $20 billion that Ukraine cannot account for. Don't know what happened. Don't know what happened to it. Gotta send us more.
Yeah.
I mean,
Zelensky was
that
just
right there.
What country was
I'd
Zelensky
rather have
in
immigration.
to talk, and the whole government there walked out on him in the middle
Biden's
of
son smoked it up.
With that, we went off the rails again. Sorry, folks. It happens.
There's gonna be a lot of editing for this, y'all. There's gonna have to be. Most of this last bit probably shouldn't belong anywhere.
It's fine.
We're gonna get taken down, but that's cool. It won't be the first time. Won't be the last either.
Hope you
Hey,
enjoyed it.
y'all don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, share. Head on down to the link tree. Go buy yourself some shit.
That's right.
Next time we come on, hopefully it'll be a musical thing and we'll have a nice guest.
Yeah, we might get back to a little bit more normal. This was a little bit 2 days of crazy. All right. Later, y'all.
Bye.